Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. We are from the group of 9, which consists of Irma, Nur Hidayati, and Mufidulatul Husni, who will explain the material about factoring. Before you know about factoring, if not, let's see our explanation below.
Factoring is a contract in which a factoring company provides services at less financing services, credit risk protection services, and the client is obligated to the factoring company to continuously sell or guarantee receivables originating from the sale of goods or the provision of services. A factoring company is a business entity that carries out financing activities in the form of purchasing and/or transferring, as well as managing short-term receivables or claims of a company from domestic or foreign trade transactions. In factoring activities, there are three main actors involved, namely factoring companies, client, and customer. Factors are companies or parties that offer factoring services. Clients are parties that use the services of factoring companies, and customer are the parties who make the transaction with client. The history of factoring in Indonesia. Factoring activities in Indonesia have started to develop well since the Presidential Decree No. 61 and Minister of Finance Decree No. 1251 KMK.13 1988 that December 20, 1988. This regulation is mainly applied to provide alternative business financing for various types of financial institutions, especially factoring companies. Factoring services can be provided by a financial institution as one of its business activities, can be provided by a bank, and a financial institution that specifically provides factoring.
Types of factoring. First, based on service. Second, based on the coverage of risk. Third, based on the agreement. Fourth, based on the scope of activities. Based on service, factoring is grouped into four. First, full service factoring. Second, bulk factoring. Third, maturity factoring. Fourth, financing factoring. Based on the coverage of risk, first, with resources factoring. With resources factoring is related to the risk of debtor being unable to meet their obligation. In the agreement with resources, the client will bear the credit risk of the receivable transferred to the factoring company. Second, without resources factoring, the factoring company bears the risk of uncollectible accounts that have been transferred by the client. However, the factoring agreement states that outside of non-performing condition, a form of courses may apply. Based on the agreement, factoring can be divided into: first, disclosing factoring, transfer of account receivable to the factoring company with the knowledge of debtor. Second, undisclosed factoring, sale transaction or transfer of receivable to the factoring company by the client without notification of debtor. Based on the scope of activities, A. Domestic factoring. Factoring transaction activities involving factoring companies, client, and debtor, all of whom are domiciled in the country. B. International factoring. Factoring activities for export-import transaction of goods involving two factoring companies in each country as export factor and import factor.
Next, the material about factoring financing mechanisms. The factoring financing mechanisms are: A. Creditors sell or give receivables. They have two companies that have receivables, either by notifying the debtors or not. B. The factoring company collects the debtor as the party that has debit according to the agreement made with the creditor. C. The debtor pays his debit obligation to the factoring company according to the agreed due date. And D. Companies that invoice accounts payable or pay accounts payable with appropriate creditors after all accounts payable.